Yeah, the meeting's now live.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Health and Wellbeing Board. I'm Dr. Linda Colley, Clinical Lead of Portsmouth Clinical Commissioning Group and Joint Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Board, and I'm chairing the meeting today. Members of the public are invited to view this meeting, and there has been the opportunity for written representations to be submitted. Board members are requested to keep their microphones on mute and only to turn these on when they are called to speak. I would advise not to use the chat function unless you are asking for permission to speak or want to make a comment, because the public can't see the chat. So please raise your hand using the icon at the top of the screen. So I'm going to go round the participants in order that they appear on my list. So everyone could introduce themselves, please. So Helen, start with you.
Thank you, Linda. I'm Helen Atkinson and I'm the Director of Public Health for Portsmouth.
Thank you. David Goosey.
Good morning, David Goosey. I'm the Chair of the Adult Safeguarding Board for Portsmouth.
Thank you. Councillor Vazackley.
Yeah, hi. Councillor Vazackley, Cabinet Member for Health, Wellbeing, Adult Social Care.
Thank you. Francis.
Good morning. So I'm Frances Mullin, Vice Principal at the newly formed City of Portsmouth College.
Thank you. Hayden.
Morning everybody, Hayden James, Assistant Director for Children for the Local Authority and the CCG, and this week acting DCS.
Thank you. Councillor Gosling.
Morning, Councillor Lewis Gosling, Conservative spokesman on this board.
Thank you. Andrea Havey.
Hi, I'm Andrea Havey. I'm the Ops Director for Adult Services in Solent, but I'm representing Susanna Rosenberg and Sue Harriman today.
Lovely. Matthew Gummerson.
Sorry, I'm slightly late. Matthew Gummerson, Lead for Public Health Intelligence, here to support the items in relation to the Health Wellbeing Strategy and the Public Health Annual Report.
Thank you. Councillor Horton.
Morning, Susie Horton, Cabinet Member for Children, Families and Education.
Thank you. Rob Marsh.
Hi, I'm Rob Marsh. I'm basically work for the probation service and I'm here representing Sarah Beattie.
Thank you. Anna.
Anna Martin, Democratic Services.
Thank you. Councillor Mellor.
Morning everybody, I'm Kirsty Mellor, Labour spokesperson for this board and opposition spokesperson for Health, Wellbeing and Social Care. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Mitchell.
Good morning, I'm Chief Inspector Rob Mitchell, representing Portsmouth Police.
Thank you. Kelly.
Hello, I'm Kelly Nash from the Strategy Unit at the City Council.
Jackie.
Good morning, I'm Jackie Powell, one of the lay members for Portsmouth CCG.
Thank you. Roger.
Hello, I'm Roger Batterbury. I'm the chairperson at Health Watch Portsmouth. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Morning everyone, Jeanette Smith, and I'm spokesperson for Children's, Families and Adults for Independent Group PPP.
Thank you. Graham Terry.
Morning everyone, Graham Terry, Director of Strategy and Performance at Portsmouth Hospitals, here for Penny Emmerich, Chief Executive.
Thank you. David.
Morning everybody, David Williams, Chief Executive, Portsmouth City Council.
And Joe.
Sorry, apologies. Joe York, Managing Director, Health and Care Portsmouth, between CCG and the City Council.
Lovely, thank you. Anna, do you want to put the apologies in?
Yes, I've got Sarah Beattie, the Probation Service, who's represented by Rob Marsh, Gordon Blunn of the University of Portsmouth, Penny Emmerich of the Portsmouth Hospitals University Trust, represented by Graham Terry, Sue Harriman and Susanna Rosenberg, represented by Andrea Havey, Justina Jeffs, Portsmouth CCG, Superintendent Claire Jenkins, Hampshire Constabulary, represented by Robert Mitchell, Dr Nick Moore, Portsmouth CCG, and Paul Riddle and Andy Weeks of the Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service.
Lovely, thank you, and their apologies are noted. Any declarations of interest for any of the agenda items today? No, thank you. So we're going to look at the minutes of the previous meeting, which was, I think when it was now, the July meeting, July 7th. So if everyone's got a copy of them, if we start for accuracy on page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, we've noted an accuracy issue which we're going to correct. Thank you, Jackie, for pointing that out. Page 8 and page 9. Okay. So if there's no issue with the minutes, is anyone happy to propose their approval?
I'll happily propose their
Thank
approval.
you. And do I have a seconder?
Yes, I'll second.
Lovely, thank you. So the recommendation has been proposed and seconded, and I will now take the vote by affirmation of the meeting as permitted within the regulations. If there is no dissent, the proposal is passed. Are there any objectors to this recommendation? No, lovely. Thank you. The minutes of the previous meeting have therefore been approved. So we will just correct that typo error. Thank you. Matters arising. There was just one. So in the update about Guildhall Walk surgery in the last minutes, there was a mention of safe space, and there was we weren't sure where it was moving to, but I'm pleased to say it has got a new home in the civic offices. Joe, did you want to say anything? You had your hand up.
Sorry, I just thought you might want me to say that, but you said it, so no, that's absolutely fine, Linda. It's moved to the Civic, with the intention that could be a long-term home if that proves successful. And certainly at the moment we haven't had any concerns, but we're working very closely with the team at the Civic to make sure that service is appropriately there and that it doesn't cause problems for any other services within the building.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Mellor.
Hi, just a quick question in terms of that facility. Is there anything on social media that we can perhaps share so members of the public are aware of the move of the service, please?
Yeah, I'm sure we could do that, Councillor Mellor. I think we have put some things on social media, so we can absolutely share those, and I'll ask the comms team to link with you to do that.
Yeah, there was definitely something on Facebook with a big arrow pointing to Civic, if I remember rightly. Yeah. Robert Mitchell.
Yeah, just to add to that, I've seen it on social media and very positive feedback from commenters online as well. I think most people thought it was a great idea.
Brilliant. Well, we'll look forward to hearing how it's gone, maybe in a future meeting. Thank you. So we'll move on to the first item, Local Outbreak Engagement Board update. I believe that's you, Kelly, is that right?
It is, Dr. Colley, thank you very much. So this is just the usual short briefing report that comes back to the Health and Wellbeing Board, summarising the activity of the Outbreak Engagement Board in between sessions. Really short report this time because there's only actually been one meeting of the group. At that meeting, they considered their usual agenda and identified the key risks, which at that point were obviously the rising numbers of infections throughout August. The next meeting will be this coming Monday, the 27th of September, and the group will consider the usual agenda, which will be a data intelligence update, an update from the Director of Public Health and Regulatory Services on the key changes that have happened since the last time the board met, an update on vaccination, test, trace and isolate, and on this occasion the board will also be asked to approve the update of the local outbreak management plan, which will take account of the recently published container framework and the autumn-winter plan. As always, there are a number of colleagues on this board also sit on the Outbreak Engagement Board, so obviously invite any comments from those. But otherwise, just to let you know that board continues to meet, continues to be active, and will be reviewing both the plan and their terms of reference as part of that plan on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? No, thank you, Kelly. We've noted that report. So over to Helen for the annual report for public health.
Thank you, Linda. So I'm just going to share a set of slides. I'm sorry, this always takes me a little time, but hopefully it's coming up now. You, as Health and Wellbeing Board members, will have received the slides pack ahead. Just want to, just before I start, encourage you all as the slides come up, that just to encourage you to share the slides really with colleagues, and also if any members want any members want a copy of the slides, or colleagues that want copy of the slides, please can they email, and I'll make sure this is in the minutes, our web address, not our web address, our email, jsna@portsmouthcc.gov.uk, and we'll be very happy to send out copies of the slide deck to anybody that wants them. Now, just to, hopefully you can all see the first slide here. I think you're all very aware that this is a statutory responsibility for Director of Public Health to publish an independent public health report every year. And obviously, I'm going to start. This is me. Oh, hang on, got the wrong version up. Really do apologise. I'm just going to, should have done this earlier. I'll quickly get the right version up. Shouldn't have saved more than one copy.
Would you like me to share my screen, Helen?
Yes, please. Apologies. Failed at the first technical hurdle. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. And also I have got Matt with me if there are any questions, but just wanted to really start on the introduction slide there. Thank you. You'll be all pleased know I'm not going to go through the whole slide set. I'm only just going to pull out some things I wanted to share from the introduction, and then just a little bit on the content. We are doing it as a slide set presentation this year, and I think you'll understand when I go through some of the introduction. Obviously, this is my first independent public health annual report as Director of Public Health for Portsmouth. I arrived in Portsmouth in January, February last year, just as basically COVID was hitting, and it's fair to say that's pretty much the main focus of mine and my team's role this year, but working with all of you, because this has been very much a partnership response, has been on COVID, and it's fair to say, been a very, very tough year, both within our team, within the council, with all the partnerships, and mainly also for our residents. You know, I don't think this is a once in a lifetime event, can I say, in terms of most people's careers. The COVID response, we are now 19 months in, and it's fair to say that much as others will perhaps wish it to be, it is not over. And we still have very much a very, very clear plan going forward in terms of our response. But I just wanted to pull out a few key things. So the reason, obviously, is the focus of this year's annual public health report, because it has been the focus of most people's lives over the past year, but also most people's work lives over the past year. So it really felt appropriate to actually have that focus on COVID response. And this really is the 2020-21 report. So it really just presents the data up until April or end of March of 2021 of this year. I want to actually use this opportunity to thank quite a number of people, and I apologise ahead if I don't include everybody, but it's more really our organisations and how we've worked really successfully together. So I want to thank all my colleagues across the city who have worked really, truly, I think, admirably together in partnership over this past year. So the report focuses on, unfortunately, just the public health contribution, because that's where we've been focusing last year, and it felt appropriate, as I've said earlier. But really just want to acknowledge the huge impact that COVID has had on our residents, individuals, organisations, the whole city. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank my team, who basically had to get to know me very, very quickly as I arrived. We started this work in March, but also they have really stepped up admirably to the task over the past 18, 19 months, I'd also just want to say all of the colleagues that we've worked with across both the council, CCG, university, business, all of the NHS locally. I don't want to miss anybody out, but it has been a truly, and particularly also education, just seeing Hayden's face looking at me. We've worked incredibly hard, and I do really want to thank everybody. Portsmouth is a fantastic city, and it's got many, many assets and a real sense of community in place. And I think that's what I have really felt over the last year. I have come from working in inner city London, in urban, rural and Surrey, but I have to say I've never worked, and I just want to say this, in a community that like Portsmouth before, because truly everybody has worked together and has worked incredibly hard over the past year. And I also want to thank our residents who have basically taken on and listened to all of the advice and support that we have been giving them. And one thing I wanted to note, in the second wave, we were part of a national review of areas or cities where we were expected to have very, very high incidence of COVID, and it's fair to say that at times, and recently again, we have seen a high infection rate from COVID, but in wave 2 at a particular time, we were seen as a city with a lower than the national average case rate, which is quite surprising for a city area like Portsmouth, which is both compact. We have a very, obviously high number of residents, and other areas like Portsmouth were seeing much higher rates. So it's also important to say that I think this will reflect into the next item on the agenda in terms of the refresh of the health and wellbeing strategy. But the spotlight which COVID has shone on inequalities in the city has enabled us to really rapidly progress, for instance, some of the work that we've done in supporting individuals who have needed to self-isolate or providing safe accommodation for individuals, for instance, like our homeless population. So it's really given us the opportunity to really focus. So I just wanted to mention some of the areas of response which I feel that we shouldn't lose, because for me, it's really taking the learning from how we've worked together through COVID over the past year into how we will continue to work forward with our refresh of the health and wellbeing strategy, but also all of the work we're doing around place, which in terms of how we work together in partnership. So some of the areas I wanted to mention were the data-led approach, or really the insight-led focus that we've had. So we've routinely shared intelligence across all of the partners, which has built a really clear shared understanding of the local and national context of COVID, which I think has really helped underpin some robust decision making. We've done that both within Portsmouth at the partnership, but I think we've also done it across the Hampshire and Isle of Wight patch in the work that we've done through the Local Resilience Forum. As I've already mentioned, the partnership work in COVID-19 response has exemplified how every part of the local system has played a crucial role in the response effort. Working together, we are more than the sum of our parts. And I think that's going to be really important as we move forward with our place-based agenda through the health and wellbeing strategy refresh. Working with communities, again, I'd really like to thank the efforts that people, particularly the Hive, have made working with the voluntary and community sector. We've really has given us the opportunity to work with our communities. I think also want to mention the work of the communications network. So both communications team in Portsmouth City Council and the CCG, but also the colleagues in communications in other parts of the partnership who've really worked together to make sure that we're giving both understanding and listen to our communities and what their needs are, but also working together to give a consistent message out. I've already talked about the focus on tackling inequalities, but as an example, the work that has been done to house the homeless population has been significant, but also the opportunity to then provide them with key services. So it's ensured that we have been able to both offer vaccination and regular testing to our homeless community in the housing that they've been provided, but also medical through the homeless healthcare team has also enabled us to do some other really important screening work with that population who are very vulnerable and at high risk, particularly around the work we've done screening for TB and some of the other viruses that within the community. So, and again, then also, so I suppose that if we go on to the next slide, thank you, Matt. Also, just pulling out some of the key points. The overview very much of the report is the role of public health in the city's response, but also around how we've implemented testing regimes to identify cases, and how we've ensured that in Portsmouth we know who is affected by COVID-19, how we've supported people through the partnership to reduce spread through contact tracing, also how we've supported those experiencing severe outcomes in terms of hospitalisation and deaths, and finally the work that's been done on the vaccination programme. And then lastly, just to pull out, this isn't just on the next slide, if you mind moving it forward, Matt, just some of the work that's been done across some of this I've covered already, so I won't go into it, but also this has been not only a response and partnership in Portsmouth, which has been led through some of the work we've done through the Health Protection Board, and I want to thank colleagues who've been really good partners through the Health Protection Board, which meets now fortnightly, but it's a place where we've all partners have come together to be really clear about what the local outbreak management plans needed to deliver and what we need, so that we all understand where we are in terms of the current situation, but how we need to respond together. And then finally, just also the importance of the multi-agency response we've had across the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Local Resilience Forum patch. So real opportunity to, we're not now in major incident, but we were in major incident through most of last year, and how we've worked effectively together. So I'm going to leave it there. Sorry, that was probably a bit more information than needed. You've all got the presentation. Please share it. And we're very happy to have questions or hear back on how you think it's all gone.
Lovely. Welcome to Councillor Vernon Jackson and Andy Biddle, who joined us during that item. So Councillor Zackley's put in a comment saying, good report, Helen, encouraging to see all the work and effort that has taken place, a credit to the many individuals and organisations that have played their part, and I think we would all echo that. So let's welcome some questions then. So Councillor Smith, and then it will be Councillor Vernon Jackson.
It's mainly a comment, really. I sort of echo all the things that Helen has just said about going across city, but she sort of forgot the major person that sort of pulled it all together, which is Helen herself. So I'd like to sort of place on thanks to Helen, because without her leadership, I think we would be in a worse place than we were. And you pulled it all together, and doing it in very difficult circumstances where you'd only just started the job. So I think you should have a huge round of applause, and make sure that you get all the plaudits that you should get.
Absolutely agree. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Vernon Jackson.
Just to echo everything that Jeanette has said. Thanks for everything you've done, Helen. It's been really good. And Jeanette said it better than me.
Definitely, thank you. Jackie.
Well, I've certainly had my thanks as well, Helen. You kind of just stepped right into the deep end. And I thought it was a great report, and there were a couple of things that I really noted, and I felt it's worth for the public to notice that for asymptomatic people, that was 30% of the population, and that was a real piece of learning on how it is that we tackle COVID. And the second one, I think I've heard a lot, especially at the start of the pandemic, oh, this is just not a flu type thing. And it was good to see the figures that this is 3 times more death via COVID than by flu. And those sort of bits of information, I think, help put things in perspective that I fit in. So thank you.
Thank you. Andy Biddle.
Thanks, Linda. Just a brief reflection, really. I guess we've had arrangements in the past around a DPH where we shared between ourselves and Southampton, and that changed with Helen's appointment and with Debbie Chase's appointment in Southampton. And I guess one of the really significant things for me is that we haven't lost anything by that. Our relationships, public health wise, are still very strong with both our Southampton and our Hampshire colleagues. And that's in large part down to Debbie and to Simon and to Helen working together to make sure that we're using the learning from each place and we're sort of, you know, moving in step, if you like. So I think it's been really successful, the transition to having our own DPH focused on Portsmouth, and we've really benefited from that. And to echo Helen's praise for her team as well, Helen herself, of course, but her team have also been absolutely fundamental to the response in Portsmouth throughout COVID and continue to be so, and a really solid and reliable source of advice and support.
Thank you. Councillor Horton.
Yeah, just more echoing really. Obviously, first thanks to Helen, but also just a couple of things really. One is I would like, within education, I'd also specifically like to put a formal thanks out to schools who actually worked brilliantly with the local authority and obviously with Helen. We have really pulled off a real close-knit relationship, which when I talk to my counterparts around the country just wasn't always happening elsewhere. So I just wanted to raise that. And the other thing specifically to say is the things that we shouldn't lose. I agree with all of them, but they're very headline. And I just think we need to kind of, when we drill down into those, look at the 4 examples. So again, just a school reference, like the link coordinator scheme, which has, you know, we've decided to continue, but those examples are actually changing things. And my final point is around the long tail of COVID, because I think once the infection starts dropping, particularly on that issue around inequalities, that's going to be around for a long time, and it's going to blend, isn't it, with the new norm? But actually, this isn't over, and I think we really need to keep a commitment to those things that we said that we wouldn't lose.
Thank you. Jo.
Yeah, again, probably just to echo what everyone else has said and to add the CCG's thanks to all that Helen and the public health team have done. They've really supported us in working with practices, primary care and care homes as well. And it's felt like a really single team effort, you know, that's been really, really valuable, and I think we'll set the foundations for how we work in the future, and we're seeing that already on some of the population health management work that Helen and her team are really supporting, and we're working alongside, but we're working as a single team, which is really great and will really help us in future, I think. So thank you, Helen, and all of your team.
Lovely, thank you. So thank you. We're being asked to accept that report. Lovely, thank you. Kelly, over to you for the health and wellbeing strategy.
Oh, I think Matt's going to take that item actually.
Is he? Yeah. Matt, over to you.
Yes, I am. Just thought I'd give Kelly a break, since she's got other reports to present. So really just to update the board, we came to you in July to talk through where we got to with you in developing the health wellbeing strategy, agreed the key themes that we wanted to be in that, and proposed a process in which we would run a series of workshops around each of those themes to develop them in more detail. That's taken longer than we expected. I think I was a little bit optimistic in our earlier timings, hadn't quite factored in how much everybody needed to take some leave over the summer as well. So rather than rush those through and not have the engagement that we needed, we've taken the decision to delay that slightly. So the work will continue over the next couple of months, and we'll bring something back to the next meeting. The first of those workshops is actually scheduled for the 27th of September, so they are progressing. But if the board are happy, we'll bring something back to the next meeting of the board with an update on the outputs from those discussions.
Thank you. Is the board happy with that suggestion? Yeah. Sorry, I can see. Oh, David.
Yeah, very happy with that. Thank you, Linda. I think it's just, you know, it's going to be really important that we keep the focus of this health and wellbeing board strong. As you know, we're moving through national changes in terms of reorganisation across health, and I think it's going to be very important that there's a powerful, well-researched, well-informed voice for the city, for us to both design our services within the city, but also play into the wider Hampshire and Isle of Wight agenda. So we will be looking at ways in terms of strengthening that. I think it's important that we continue to maintain a wide approach to health and well-being and the wider determinants of health through this board, and just hugely grateful to all of your support for that. And just on that last item, what a cracking job you did as a board in terms of the appointment of Helen. How inspired. Who'd have thought? Thank you.
Thank you, David. And actually that segues us nicely onto the Health and Care Portsmouth update, I think, Jo.
Yeah, thank you. So this is an update just for the board to provide some detail on where we are in terms of the coming together, particularly around the commissioning elements of the Health and Care Portsmouth, but also some of the moving into the future of the ICS and some of the place-based partnerships. So the first point to bring to your attention is around the Joint Commissioning Committee. This was something that was set up some time ago, back in 2018 to 2019, pre-COVID, the original, and it was to support our commitment that we've had as part of the blueprint to bring together City Council commissioning functions with CCG commissioning functions. Originally, the intent was a subcommittee of this board. With COVID and with there were a number of issues alongside COVID around how fully we could delegate responsibility to that board that we were looking at and trying to iron out and work through. Then COVID came, and we were obviously in a very different space as we've had, and we've worked together in different ways. So what we have done as part of that ongoing development between the CCG and the City Council, we have had some legal advice on the board to understand how that board can operate effectively, and in order that we can reconvene that and re-establish that committee. So the advice has been that should remain for the time being, until April 2022, or as such time as the Health and Care bill is passed, that committee remains a subcommittee of the CCG. That enables the CCG to delegate its commissioning responsibility through to that committee, which the CCG Governing Board have done, but it also means that members of the committee from the council can take decisions within their individual delegated authority. So our intention is to reconvene that board on that basis. We're looking for a meeting in October, with a work plan to really begin to understand the totality of the spend of the city pound. Again, one of the key aims of the blueprint, but also to look and take responsibility for our integrated commissioning arrangements, both the current makeup of pooled funds that we've got, which is nearly 100 million, but also to look at how we might extend that over the coming weeks and months. So that board will start to meet in October with quite an ambitious agenda, as I've just outlined. We will also be inviting other partners to that board. So obviously the decision making at the moment remains with the CCG and the City Council, but we will be inviting Solent NHS Trust representatives, Portsmouth Hospitals NHS Trust, the Hive representative, and Portsmouth Primary Care Alliance to be represented on that board, and we will work with the Portsmouth Provider Partnership P3 to look at how best that works, so it doesn't become particularly cumbersome or over too many people around the table. But the idea is that means all partners will be able to influence how we make those important commissioning decisions. And again, the legal advice from Bevan Britton was that was okay and is reflective of the new direction of travel for particularly the NHS with the development of the integrated care system. So our intention is that we establish this committee, or re-establish this committee now, and then as we move into April and the new way of doing it, it becomes our place-based partnership forum where we can continue to make those joint decisions and to have that delegated authority from the Integrated Care Board and the Integrated Care Partnership, which will be where the NHS comes together with all 4 local authorities across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. But again, will enable us to have that delegated decision into the city. So I'll pause there in case there are any questions, but then I'll carry on a bit more about what we're doing around some of those other things in preparation for the future.
So any questions or comments about that? Sorry, I'm trying to see who's got the hand up.
I think it's Graham, Terry.
Graham, yeah, Graham, please.
Thank you, Linda, and thanks, Joe. It's really helpful, and I think it's a helpful reflection on the conversation that we had about this. And I think it's a really positive step around that place-based partnership piece that does involve providers in that. So absolutely welcomed that will be that. And I think you're right. Once the bill is passed and it's very much clearer, I think therefore we'll do a further refresh of that to actually strengthen that as part of the terms of reference. So that is a joint decision-making forum of which all parties are involved. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Graham. So yeah, so we've got a membership and a terms of reference fit for today, but it gives us the opportunity to all be involved in that decision making, and then we can change it as we need to as we move forward. So absolutely, thank you.
Lovely, thank you.
And then just to pick up some of the other work that we've been doing, if you remember back in June, we met, end of May, beginning of June, we met as a Health and Wellbeing Board with other partners, so members, representatives of the Portsmouth Provider Partnership, which includes Portsmouth Primary Care Alliance and our Primary Care Network clinical directors, so Good Primary Care representative, as well as Hive Portsmouth as well. To look at the refresh of the blueprint, to get an understanding of what place meant to us in the ICS context, which of course for us is the city, but also reflecting how we also need to work and the benefits that will come to us of working both around the Portsmouth South East Hampshire system, around the local, the acute trust footprint, but also in that wider ICS. So we've continued to look at that work. We've sent out, we were hoping to meet sort of at the beginning of the summer, but due to pressures on particularly health and care services, we postponed that. We did a desktop exercise where we went out to all of you and those other providers and those other partners to get a view on the refresh of the blueprint, the refresh of the commitments and some of our priorities, but also where some of that work could best be done across those 3 footprints: place, the city, the local delivery system around the acute hospital footprint, and then wider ICS. We're collating all of that work, and we're working with colleagues in the ICS who also want to come and have that conversation with us. Hopefully in early to mid-October we'll come together again and again have a clear set of priorities that we can agree for the city and be clear how we see that working. That will also enable us to, I think, hopefully understand what the delegation into the city might look like by then. So all of that work is ongoing and we'll continue to update you as it happens. But when you do get those invites, your engagement and your commitment to be involved will be really appreciated and really welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? No. So we were formally asked to approve the development of the joint commissioning in the city, including through the Health and Care Portsmouth Commissioning Committee. Is everyone happy with that as a proposal? Lovely. Thank you. So that was all of the agenda items today. We do have to agree the dates of the next meeting. So we've got currently proposed 9th of February, 22nd of June, 21st of September and 23rd of November for next year. Is that right, Anna?
Yes. The save the date invitation was sent out on the 24th of August, but this just needs to sort of formally agree them. And they're all Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Yeah, they're all Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
It just seems a big gap between February and June. Do we normally have a big gap then?
I think because of elections and purdah, there has to be a gap, and then waiting for new appointments to be made in the AGM in mid-May.
Okay. Thank you. And the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, the 24th of November at 10 o'clock. And is that a virtual meeting still, Anna, as it stands?
For the time being, they're all virtual if people are happy. But
okay. Thank you. If there's no further questions, then I can formally close the meeting. And thank you all for your time.
I'll switch off the live stream, but you're still audible for a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Cheerio, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.